Gosh, it really feels like everything's just been thrown up in the air at the moment, don't you think, Heather? It's been quite a lot going on, and I don't know about you. I had loads of things I was looking forward to doing. I'm one of the world's biggest planners, and I had this great plan of all this stuff, and then suddenly everything's changed. But for you, I'm sure that that's been quite a big deal, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has actually, Liggy. I'm like you, I plan everything, and I've got a worst case and a best case contingency about everything, and that just kind of, I suppose, keeps me balanced as an athlete. But when the one thing you're aiming for as an athlete is the Olympics, and then looking to retire and almost start life, I've literally just gone, now what? And that probably took me a good few weeks to adjust, if I'm totally honest. People say, how do you adjust to it? And the answer is, I gave it time, and I had to accept my emotions and how I was actually feeling. I couldn't fight it. I had to just accept that it's going to take time. And that almost gave me perspective, because I was like, okay, well, I'll just work on other things in my life.
Yeah. And when you say you felt like loads of emotions, what kind of things were you feeling?
I felt lost. I felt like my identity suddenly changed. I felt like my goals, I'm so goal driven, probably just like yourself. I'm so goal driven. I'm so, I suppose, ambitious with all my thoughts and my ambitions, that actually I just felt I'd lost who I was, where I was going. And I think the words to describe it is probably lost. And with that came then a lack of motivation. And then it was like, well, I've got to keep training because I'm an athlete, but that's my identity. But actually at the moment it isn't.
Yeah, and you give yourself a hard time, don't you? It's almost like a bit of a grieving process you go through, because you have all these kind of aspirations, and like you say, it keeps you going, and it's all that lovely vision on the horizon, and suddenly that's taken away. But I think the key thing is not to give yourself a really hard time, and just to embrace and go with the emotions, isn't it?
Say that, but then I would argue that I bet you give yourself a hard time when I bet, like, I'm the sort of person who can go, okay, like, suddenly all my plans have completely changed, and I will still give myself a hard time, but I have days where I'm kinder. But then if I go for a run, Liggy, I'm thinking, right, my run today is to mentally feel good, not to physically get gains. But then the athlete comes out of me, and just like just like with yourself, like, you've got ambitions, you've got stuff you've going on. You're not just gonna write a book at 70% of your effort. You're going to go 100% into it. And it's no different to me, so it's almost instinct. It's part of me. So I went for a run yesterday and just pushed myself to absolute limits, because that is me. And I suppose it's about being true to who you are whilst in lockdown, but being kind at the same time, and I think it's about balance. Try and take myself, so right, over here I've got the Olympics, over here I've got retirement, over here I've got transition, over here I've got the present moment, and over here I've got my masters. I've got everything that I'm trying to do. And I think, actually, okay, this is my life. So actually, I'm not waiting to start a new life. This is my life. And if the Olympics, I don't believe that a medal should make or break you. I don't believe money should make or break you. Therefore, if that's my value. So number one, you've got to know who you are, which goes back to what we said last week. Yeah. Then if you take that in perspective and know who you are, then actually, all of a sudden, I will get to the Olympics, because I'll make sure when it's time to go, I will work hard. Yeah. I will finish my masters, because I'll make sure I can complete a deadline, because I know I can complete deadlines. Yeah. And I know that I will transition out next year, because I know that I wanted to do other stuff in life. Yeah. So then it's actually about being logical about our thought process.
And I suppose that kind of like perspective as well is shifting, isn't it? Different things, opening the door to opportunity. I mean, there'll be things that we'll be learning about and doing right now that had, the current situation not happened, we never have exposed ourselves to. And I suppose that helps us to create a bit of balance and perspective.
I think it's really easy at the moment. I went to feed the homeless yesterday in central London. I was talking to other people, and it's being drummed into us. This negativity, you switch on the news, you switch on the TV, everything is about COVID, everything. But that is realistic to our life, but it's not the whole of life. Don't get me wrong, I'll go from being really happy to sudden tears, but I'm trying to accept my emotions more. I'm trying to go, it's okay that I don't feel great, and I'm just going to take my time. I don't have to run at 1 o'clock. I can run at 1:30. As long as I get it done, and that's the being kind bit. It's not being kind, I'm going to sit around and do nothing all day, because what I have worked out, maybe similar to yourself, is that I give myself a purpose. So my run yesterday was my purpose to go hard and to go as well as I could deliver yesterday. I went the best version of myself. And
right.
that second, that was my purpose. And then I felt I achieved. And if you feel like you've achieved in your day, like you feel like you've spring cleaned the house, you've achieved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that marginal gains again, isn't it? You can tick off one thing. So Heather, given the situation at the moment and things that have been maybe taken away from you, which obviously are disappointing, but what things do you reckon you gained from this unexpected and unprecedented situation?
I feel like I've got time to connect to the world. I've met yourself. I wouldn't have had this connection. I wouldn't have the connection of Simply Health. They've given us a bigger platform to communicate on, and then to help other people aspire and grow. So it's given me a platform to connect to other people and time. Yeah. I actually been really busy, probably a bit like yourself. I have not stopped, but it's busy on our terms, not having to be pushed into meetings. Okay, you've got Zoom stuff and we're all trying to manage it. But again, we're learning new skills of how to manage our time very differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest gift, isn't it, is time, really, what we can do with that time. And we're learning, like you say, learning things that, we wouldn't have learned before, which is just great. I don't know about you, but I find dealing with disappointment a really good technique is to be curious. It's kind of like almost like, okay, I might not like this situation or I might not like what's happened, but what can I learn from it? And I think opening your mind and being curious. What do you think about that?
I think that's massive. So just to bring it back to what I do as a rugby player, I have spent years, I'm now 30, 35, I think. I think you lose track of age as you get older, but I've spent most of my career winning medals, winning golds, winning silvers, being part of World Cup winning squads, winning all sevens tournaments on the World Series. It then became about winning the small moments, because if you win the small moments, the bigger moments will be there even more. And we're still on that road. And also, just to throw in there, it has to be about the journey. So you can't be aiming or striving for something that you actually don't want to be there at the end. You've got to enjoy your journey, because whether you win or lose at the end of your journey, it's about who you've met, how you've done it, the person you've been, how you've influenced other people. And that's where that inner intrinsic, it feels good to be part of other people's lives.
And you're so right about the journey, because it's also about enjoying it. It's amazing. Before this happened, I was noticing a lot of people that were in so much of a rush. Everything was about speed, it's sort of getting there, rather than what about the journey along the way? And what about creating stop gaps along the way to reflect? Because as you say, what have I learned? How can I improve? What can I do, sort of better in the future? And we've got this gift, this opportunity of time right now, to be able to do that, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And like you said, if you stay curious, you stay balanced. If I was all over here and then you have disappointment, it's then now I've got to pick myself up. But what do you do? And then you become curious because you want to do other things. That you call it a distraction, call it what you want. But I think, like you said, staying curious is absolutely massive. But some people will say, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. And then actually you think passion has to be something that makes you feel really great. Sometimes my passions don't make me feel great, but they bring outside me that needs to be trained or I feel like I am different without it,
Yeah. Definitely. And it keeps us moving forward, doesn't it? Because we all need that vision, we all need that hope as well, don't we, to keep us, and opening our minds and our eyes and being kind of receptive to all of those things that are going on is really important. So what would you say is one of your top tips then for how you would manage disappointment?
I think the first biggest one, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, you've got to have perspective on the whole situation around you.
Yeah, definitely. So being able to step back, I guess, and to be able to weigh up, if you like, the situation and get that balance. So just to summarize then, in terms of what the top 3 tips and from the discussion that we've had, I guess that the first one is to, accept that you are going to go on a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Don't give yourself a really hard time for that, and just embrace those emotions. I guess the second one really is to put it into perspective, isn't it? And to make sure that you get that balanced perspective of what's going on. And I guess, the third one, as we've said, is the magic of curiosity, being able to open your mind and to really understand what you can learn from that. So that's great. I'm really looking forward to our next chat. Are you? Oh, brilliant. Thanks ever so much. It's always a pleasure, Heather.
See you next week, Liggy. Bye.
Take care.